So Stanton T. Friedman, he passed away a little while ago. I will be channeling him by reading out this passage on page 170 of Flying Saucers in Science. Why are astronomers generally so anti-UFO? I have had many opportunities to observe astronomers and read or hear their views on UFOs. For the most part, they are indeed generally negative. I think two words provide the reasons: ignorance and arrogance. They are almost completely ignorant about the UFO evidence, not just the studies noted in Chapter 1, but the more than 4,000 physical trace cases from more than 70 countries collected by Ted Phillips, the detailed photo analysis of UFO pictures, and accounts of alien abductions. They are not just ignorant about advanced technology that might be used for deep space propulsion or for highly maneuverable systems in the atmosphere. They are also ignorant about the national security aspects of the UFO problem. They presume that because their concern is the universe outside Earth, they would know about alien visitors, who would most likely want to talk to them. The history of astronomy is full of false claims by the leading lights. I have on occasion noted that astronomy seems to be a sort of democratic science. The leading lights get together and decide on truth, and woe be unto he who disagrees. There is no place to publish, and academia is characterized by publish or perish. I've also found it laughable that astronomers often act as though they would be experts on the behavior and motivation of aliens. Not only are they not professionally knowledgeable about UFOs or propulsion systems, but surely they are not experts about the behavior and motivation of Earthlings, much less aliens. Perhaps psychiatrists, social workers, doctors, nurses, and even lawyers could be better suited. All are professionals accustomed to dealing with living, thinking beings. But astronomers? One astronomer told me that he couldn't imagine aliens visiting just to stop automobiles. I can find no indication that the purpose of the visits is to stop engines, any more than that people drove automobiles in the late 1890s for the purpose of scaring nearby horses. Stopping cars could easily be for the purpose of controlling the drivers, or, as in the Iranian jet case of 1976, for preventing missile attacks. It could also be an unintentional consequence of the presence of sophisticated energy production or communication systems. One particular aspect I have found is that perhaps because they are more interested in the huge universe rather than the local neighborhood, astronomers often act as though visitors would have to come from another galaxy. In a radio discussion, one famous astronomer started by saying he just didn't think people knew how much energy it would take to get here from another galaxy, as astronomer is more than 2 million light years away. Zeta Reticuli is 39.2 light years away, which is a very different transportation problem. If we need a loaf of bread for dinner, I simply am not concerned about it being 9,000 miles to a fine bakery in Sydney, Australia. There is a good one less than 2 miles away. Another problem is that at least some astronomers think linearly. Allen Hynek used to point out that if the thickness of one playing card represented the distance to the moon from the Earth, then the nearest star is 16,000 miles of playing cards away. In addition, twice as far takes twice as long. For space travel, this is simply not true. If we could double our rocket speed at burnout when heading towards the moon, we would get there 20 times faster. The effective thrust is the difference between two similar quantities, the thrust of the rocket pushing up and the gravity pulling down. If they balanced, the rocket wouldn't go anywhere. If the thrust is a bit bigger at the start, then the rocket will accelerate because it is losing weight, which is the propellant. The difference is steadily increasing. I tried with no success to get Alan to look at the vast literature on interstellar travel. Admittedly, not much of it is published in astronomical journals. Information about flying saucers almost never appears in such journals. But then, studies of stars, galaxies, and satellites don't involve unexpected observations without instrumentation by non-astronomers of activities controlled by intelligent beings. I wonder how many astronomers subscribe to the MUFON Journal or UFO Magazine or the International UFO Reporter of the Center for UFO Studies. I am often asked during college class visits how long it takes at 1g acceleration to reach the speed of light. Many professors guess 1,000 years. In reality, it is only 1 year. Ignorance may be bliss, but having it pointed out is not. I can't find any reason for thinking, per some astronomers, that knowledge of alien visitations would be immediately spread far and wide. Admittedly, the SETI people would probably make a noisy announcement should they ever pick up a signal, but that would certainly not change things as much as admission of an alien presence here and now. Think of how upset astronomers will be when the government finally provides proof of alien visitations. The famous Brookings Institute report on the impact of contact with extraterrestrials noted that the egos of scientists would be greatly bruised by recognition of how little they know. Yes, astronomers, they are not experts on stuff that they claim to be experts on, due to their ignorance and their arrogance. It's something that I've figured out over the past 8 years. Astronomers can't even tell you how a planet forms effectively. They don't know what happens to stars as they evolve, which a planet is a very highly evolved star. They don't understand how life is formed. Life is a byproduct of stellar evolution itself, the star mixing its elements together into more and more complex molecules as the object cools and dies. These are facts of nature that aren't going to change because I get a degree in astronomy or because I don't have a degree in astronomy. These are self-evident facts. And these are the facts that are going to be proven to be true over the next couple years. And that's why I'm getting this out here. But I just wanted to relate this information that Stanton Friedman had with regards to alien visitation. And that the people who we should be relying on for answers to the world around us, to the truth of the matter, the truth of things, how things actually work, are not necessarily the people who we hold in high esteem, or at least in the public's eye, such as astronomers or Nobel laureates or the like. The actual bread and the meat and potatoes of discovery, of science, of human evolution, so to speak, is with the individual. It's with you, it's with me, it's with people who aren't a part of these large organizations. It's us going out there and searching for the answers. Some answers we find accidentally, like the discovery that I made. Some answers we purposely discover. But don't be fooled by those organizations where they say, well, if it were important, because it's something that we look at all the time, we would be the first to know about it. And that's not necessarily true at all. In fact, I argue in another paper that the people who should know about this stuff, alien visitation, they're completely detached from it. There's no connection there, because as Stanton Friedman said here, it's the publish or perish, and the top people who fought their way up to the top of the academic community, they don't want to lose their position of power, their feeling of importance, their self-esteem, and they don't want to have their ego thrown into a giant blender. So they maintain their position of power by weeding out people who can challenge them at the very bottom. That's why it's so hard for major progress to be made in the sciences. That's why the way is hammered forward. And it's also why the news that we're being visited by people from other star systems is so hard to get out there, because you have people in power that don't want to lose their whole halo of being holier than thou than the actual person that doesn't have these big degrees and fancy titles and all that. So of course they'll fight to the death for their right to be the purveyors of truth or whatever. But we don't need their approval to understand what's going on here. We're being visited by people from other star systems. Of course, this talk is sort of, I guess, quasi-dedicated to Stanton. If it wasn't for him coming out like this, I don't know, maybe there might have been another person, but he did a really great job, and I look forward to buying more of his books, even though he's since passed away, and trying to learn as much as I can about these issues, and as well relating them to my experience with dealing with the academics who think they know everything, but the truth is they don't understand jack squat. All right, you guys, take it easy.